I've attracted more good things in the last 30 days than I probably did in a few years in terms of people, projects that I've been wanting to do for years. All of a sudden, they came to fruition.
Elevating consciousness worldwide. Welcome to the MindFlavors Show with Amy and Carl, creating heaven on earth. Join the vision. On today's connection, we have a very special guest. Dr. Tami Patzer is a dynamic entrepreneur and founder of Daily Success Institute, renowned for her innovative quick start, fast results business programs and courses. She is the creator of Women Innovators Publishing, Blue Ocean Authority, and Get Massive Media Exposure, assisting business owners achieve bestseller status and maximize their media presence. Tami is a specialist for those who would like to get found, seen, and heard, and create solid foundations for their successful journeys through TV, podcasts, press leverage, and books.
Tami, welcome. So good to have you here with us.
Thank you. It's great to see you, Amy and Carl.
Yeah, thanks.
So we met in an interesting way. It's been what, 5 years since we met?
I think so. We actually met at New Media Summit in San Diego.
And you invited me to be on your show back then, and we had a great conversation. And then just recently we reconnected after these years, and we did another show together. So I'd kind of like to talk about, to start off here, what was it that brought you in from a, we'll say, a consciousness perspective? What was it that was going on in your life at the time that motivated you to pursue moving forward with the MindFlavors experience?
Well, it was interesting. What actually was going on was, I think I was maybe in a stagnant space. And I believe firmly in, if I get a nudge or an inspiration or an inkling, why not do it? And so my inkling was offer interviews on my Business Innovators podcast show. And I had not done that for could have been even 5 years, where I actually said, hey, I'm inviting anyone into to do this show. And so I just sent out an email, and people started to respond. And what I found interesting was who was responding. And there were quite a few people who were in the, let's say, the spiritual space. And in that, and all of a sudden one day there was a response from you and Amy. And I thought, wow, that's cool. I haven't talked to them. And we had a really great conversation before. And MindFlavors, even back 5 years ago, I thought it was a very unique, interesting concept. And I remember the interview, and it was like very eye-opening, but for whatever reason I didn't pursue it at that time. And this time we did the interview, and you invited me to experience it. And I did the MindFlavors experience, and I don't know how to describe it, but it was, I got the initial speechlessness, I think, is what happens, is you feel this energy, but you cannot find the words. And then we had some conversations, and that's what I really like about you and Amy, is that you actually will talk to a person and interact with them and kind of get, I guess, a handle on, where they're coming from. And I felt that connection with both of you this time. And so it was like, well, maybe I should explore MindFlavors further and see if it can help me with raising my consciousness, raising my vibrations so that I can attract positive things into my life.
Well, congratulations on already being so in tune with your intuition, the ideas that you get, and that you followed that and decided to offer these interviews out, because otherwise we may not be sitting here right now.
That's true. It is interesting because there were some people who showed up, and again, the people that are popping into my mind right now are all people who had some type of connection that could help you clear out negative things out of your life. And again, I think that's what, when you're feeling stuck or stagnant, that I think that probably is what's going on. And one of the things that I've known this about myself for a long time. I do not breathe. I've been, in the past, I was a very shallow breather. And I think one of the first things that Amy taught me was breathe. And I noticed right away the breathing helped me a lot to deal with different things that were happening in my space. That the breathing was like opening a window or opening a door to trust. I in the past I took a class and they said, trust and allow, don't ask how. And sometimes I hear these sayings and I really do not understand them, but that I'm understanding that more now that I've been working with you. And I think it's about 30 days. What is today? I think today is the 30th day. Yeah.
Yes. Congratulations. You completed your 30 days. Your first 30 days anyway.
Yes.
Yes. Well, so good, Tami, what you're saying about the breath, because it's so true that so many of us have just been in the habit of holding our breath all the time. And what have you noticed? What's the difference? I mean, what's the difference when you hold your breath and when you breathe and start allowing these energies to be cleared out?
Well, for me, what I've noticed about that is actually, I don't even know what I did before, but when you hold, you're not breathing, you're holding in all of that anxiety, all of the, you get the physical issues. And since I've been breathing, I noticed, and it's funny because I didn't realize I noticed it until just now. My physical pain in my body that maybe I was experiencing before, I'm not experiencing that physical pain that maybe you've got in your shoulder or in your legs or your lower back. I actually just noticed that or realized it when you asked that question. And also, when there have been moments where I felt I just didn't know what to do and I started breathing, it did seem to dispel the panic or the overwhelm. So just breathing, I think, just improves your life a great deal.
I love how perceptive you are
Yeah.
and noticing the little things. I've been talking a lot about this recently, that the little things, I see the little things as the most important things, because the small things are what tell us what direction we're going. When we can see those little movements, we can see the direction that we're moving. And that gives us, kind of like looking at a compass, we can get our positioning proper, and we can see what it is that we're putting on the inside and how it's showing up on the outside. So I love how you're so in tune with noticing these things. And the beautiful thing about the breathing is, and I'm thinking about what you said about different areas of the body that might be experiencing pain. It's what we've discovered over the years is that most of the time, the things that are going on in the body are ways that the body is telling us where something emotionally or mentally is out of balance. And so one of the things that's beautiful about the MindFlavors processes, we have several processes that we do, is that when we experience the tools of the MindFlavors, we're suddenly getting a shift in those areas of our consciousness, the way we think, the way we feel, and our emotional state of being. And those things then instantly show up in the physical form.
That is something I've noticed. What I really like about MindFlavors is that during the time, the last 30 days, you introduced some tools that I found very attractive. And that was the divine alignment, which I've incorporated into some of the other MindFlavors that I've been working on, like the divine believing. And I found what I started with initially was the easy sales, happy customers. And what makes that so interesting is now when I'm driving down the road, I might be singing a song, easy sales, happy customers, or divine, I am divine, who knows, but I know my subconscious is like pulling in all of these positive statements, and they come out. I mean, I think my singing voice even improved because I've never been a singer, but all of a sudden I hear I'm singing, I go, that kind of actually sounds like it's in tune. Like, it sounds like it isn't scritchy, scratchy stuff, but it actually sounds like there's a rhythm to it, a melody, and it sounds pretty good. So I thought that was interesting. And then I have grandchildren and I have my own children, and I noticed that their lives seem to bring, as I improve, it's like I'm pulling up everyone else with me, especially one of my sons. I really noticed it with him probably because there was such a contrast. But I noticed that as I am doing, my daily MindFlavors, that other people that their lives are improving in, whatever way it's happening for them. So I thought that was really interesting too.
Yes.
Yes, it is. And it just shows, I think it shows how connected we are, especially with those who are closest around us. And it makes sense if you think about it. If we're that connected, and maybe I'm going through something that affects the vibration, well, it's going to affect how anyone else shows up in my experience. So when I do the work on the inside to elevate my frequency and free myself from those patterns, those old patterns of limitation, suddenly those around me start feeling the lightness of that too. It also opens up, what we've learned is it opens up the space for others to show up differently in our experience, because we've changed, we'll say, the parameters of what we're attracting into our experience. So if our programming has changed about what we believe we deserve on some level, and we're maybe some complicated patterns that are tangled up together in beliefs suddenly are freed, then now we have a lot of extra energy as well. It gives the freedom for others also to show up in ways that are at higher levels, because those patterns are no longer in the equation.
Yeah. It's so beautiful. Like if I had a pattern that I could only allow so much joy or love into my life, then I'm going to be blocking that in some way. And maybe others would like to be showing up and loving me and being joyful on these high frequencies. But it's up to me to go within. And once I go within and I clear those patterns that are keeping that from fully flowing in, then like what you're saying, it gives an opportunity for those to show up and be more loving and be more joyful and showing up in new ways. And it's a beautiful thing to witness. Yeah. That when we change on the inside, new things show up on the outside. Yeah.
I agree. Like Carl said the other day, he was talking about it isn't necessarily about all of the things that we're doing, but when, like you said, as we change on the inside and our vibrations and frequencies go up, that what we're attracting is more good stuff. I mean, my favorite statement is I am a magnet for all things good. And that's another one of my sing songs that I notice will pop in. And that when you're a magnet for all things good, you're not limiting anything in your life. It's just all things good. And I find, again, I mean, I've had these beliefs for a long time, but reconnecting with you, Amy, and Carl, again, it was like, it was that reminder, Tami, who are you? Because real life responsibilities, sometimes they get in the way and you maybe forget who you really are, and you need somebody to come and say, hey, here you are, let's help you, just like with words, you have talked a lot about the words we use, and that's interesting. Just today my son sent me a message from school, and he said, the message came over, good day, having a great day at school. And I thought that was interesting, because many people, when they say hello first thing, they express it in a totally different way. And that word, like the word morning that you reminded me, was not a positive word. And just by adding good to it doesn't make it a positive word. But I thought it was interesting that it literally, the message came across, good day, having a great day at school. and I kind of like chuckled when that came over. I was driving the grandchildren to school when that message popped up on my car. The little Alexa or whoever it is in the car, said it to me. I thought that was really an interesting moment.
I think that's one of those signs the universe is showing you, Tami, look, it's working. And that's why we do the noticing and appreciating. You're brilliant at this. Like Carl's always saying, it's the subtle little things, because when we look around to the subtle little shifts that are happening, like what we're noticing, then you go inside, it's like, I created that. And we get to believe, as we notice and appreciate more and more, that we are the creator of our own reality. And it takes believing this on multiple layers. And the more that we just keep strengthening this belief, yes, that I am the creator of my own reality, we stand in our power more. We remember more of who we are, like what you're saying, and then really anything becomes possible. Yeah.
The other day, for everybody listening, they have a group. And the other day, Amy led us in this deep dive. And it's kind of like, well, what is, I think it was about brilliant awakening or something. And my message that came through loud and clear, and it was like 3 times, trust, trust, trust. And I think for me, that has been a lifelong issue, is me not trusting. So it makes perfect sense to me that that would be the test, if there is a test, about what does it take to trust that the universe, for example, is always going to provide positive, good things. What does it take to trust that people are going to treat you well? And you know, trust is a huge issue, and I think that trust muscle has, for me, this in this first 30 days is definitely, I've had to trust many ideas, many people, many things, that everything was going to work out in my favor, you know, for the highest and best. And I find that interesting in itself, that the very things you need to work on present, and then you just have to, like, a trust and allow, and don't ask how.
This is part of making that shift from living from the outside in, which is how most are living, to living from the inside out and trusting that you are the creator of your reality, and that when you follow certain types of steps, practical steps to attune your being, your physical, mental, and emotional being, that your alignment and your point of attraction is going to draw new things to you. And yes, it does require trust. And the beautiful thing is we're already this way in our divine self. And we've been conditioned and trained out of that to not trust and to be in other states of being. And so when you experience the MindFlavors, for example, most of that stuff just gets stripped away. So those patterns that were confusing and start to disappear, and it makes way where you can see that, yes, I can trust from the inside out, because I'm no longer being held down by these other patterns and things that have made it so it didn't really matter if I trusted or not. The outcome was always coming through based on those old patterns. Now trust becomes easy. Trust is a new thing at this level. Have you noticed how that dynamic has shifted?
Yes. I mean, I've had different things happen in terms of money showing up, money being found, or people keeping their word. But you know, that's huge. Or people, maybe their attitude shifting, different things like that. But I've noticed that overall, you know, because if you look at 30 days, it's not that long of a time, but it seems like a long time when you look back. But when you're in it every day, you know, with MindFlavors, you know, you are doing positive things every single day. And for me, you know, it was helpful when I kind of made it, you know, as fun as possible, make it a game with myself to see, you know, well, what if I do this? What if I do that? You know, within this parameter of like, for example, I like the easy sales, happy customers. I love the inspired action. the divine alignment, the I am, the deep dives. I mean, there's just so many aspects of MindFlavors, and I don't even know that I've been exposed to that much, in 30 days. So I just noticed that the more I guess, apply myself or allow myself to trust, it seems like the bigger things get expanded. Maybe that's a good way to look at it. That my world is expanding, and that people are showing up, things are showing up, ideas are showing up, different. For example, I had an idea to do this podcast program, and I put a value on it. And I looked at that, and it was like, yeah, that's really, really a super duper deal. And then it was like, well, what if you doubled the price and then create something different? And I did that. And I was like, well, yeah, it is worth more than that. But and I did have clients who said, yeah, I want to do that. And the good thing about that was that I trusted that that I was providing value, true value, and that I didn't need to charge a little bit for all of my insight, all of my knowledge, and that people would show up who were willing to compensate me at a better, a higher level. And then other things, business opportunities have shown up, and different people who I wanted to work with. Again, they show up in a very positive way. And another thing I discovered about the MindFlavors is, for me, it's all, am I doing this right? And as I've done it, I finally said, well, the fact that you're doing this is a sign to the universe that you're attempting, you're trying, you're doing it. And I quit worrying about if I was doing it perfectly or not, because I was seeing results. I mean, I have seen a lot of results in 30 days. That's one thing that is certain. I've seen a lot of results in 30 days, and I think they started within the first 5 days. Things there was a shift. There was the shift in my attraction. People who I may have written off as not being potential clients, they raised their hand and said, oh, I want you to do this for me. And I it's a lesson. Don't ever think somebody isn't going to become your client, because they could. You just don't know where you don't know what's really going on inside their heads or what their true needs are. And for example, a client that I thought was like a one-time, like a press release client, because I do PR, turned out, oh no, I want to do a continuing marketing campaign, and can you help me with my conference in Paris? And I might even end up getting, if I put my mind to it, I'm sure that if I want to go to Paris in October, I'll go to Paris in October to be part of this conference, if that's what I choose. That's another big lesson, is understanding that you can create whatever it is you choose, and it shows up. And sometimes it's pretty, I mean, if you can say instantly, it's pretty instant. in terms of how long it takes to create something when you are in the divine alignment. It's amazing. For example, I needed a consistent ride for my son back and forth to school. because I was the ride and it wasn't working for me. And it was like I needed somebody to show up and say, hey, I can provide this, ride back and forth to school. And it happened. I pretty much put it out there Monday, and by Thursday, the guy was in the driveway dropping my son off from school and saying, yeah, I can help him every day. So
That's
I
great.
think that was pretty good because school didn't start until Tuesday. So basically Tuesday, Wednesday, and by Thursday, it gave him enough time to meet the kid at school and then for them to make a connection and for him to say, yeah, I can help you. So that was pretty cool.
Super, congratulations. Yes, yes, yes. I love everything that you shared. And especially how you're so in tune with that. It's happening because of the divine alignment. When we get in alignment with who we are, everything just shows up.
This is how it's supposed to be.
How it's supposed to be.
Yes.
Yes, we were just programmed opposite.
The thing about that is it wasn't like it was like I put it out there, he really needs a ride. And I did a little bit of research to find him a ride. Like they do have a dial-a-bus or something, but of course the scheduling is first come, first serve. So it was kind of like, okay, so I've done what I know to do, right? And so at some point you have to turn it over, and the universe, it's like, here you go. It's almost like you need to quit working so hard in the ways that you learn. But now I understand the trust and allow, don't ask how. It really is to say, put it out there and trust that it's going to happen for the highest and best of all concerned. And I think that's important, that that everything works for the highest and best, of all the things that are, moving or about out there, that it's always for the positive, the highest and best.
Mm-hmm.
I love what you're saying, because when we put the programming in on the inside, then it makes sense that that's going to be easy to trust. It makes sense that we're going to start experiencing that because we've already, with purpose, created that in the, like planting the seed on the inside. From my perspective, those things are like gold, because when relationships improve, when things get easier, when trust starts happening and others are showing up and things start moving, you really get the sense that, wow, this is all encompassing. This is a whole way of life. This is a new reality experience because I'm creating it and it's showing up in all these different areas, and even in areas where you didn't even put a lot of focus into, maybe because as those things are cleared out, it doesn't require a whole lot of focus for something to show up. When we're in that mode of I'm the creator of my reality, I put out the focus on something, I let it go, I move on to something else that I love, and then that continues, that thing that I put out there, it continues in motion, collecting all of what has to happen for it to come back around and show up as a complete creation. And we've all been trained that if we don't create it with our conscious mind and hammer things into place, that it's not going to happen. And the truth is, our divine mind, our divine powers are connected to what we focus on. And when we can just be clear from those programs, old programs, it allows us to focus on those things, and then they show up automatically without our continual input, because it's like a seed. As long as we plant the seed and we don't step on it and squash it, we put some water on it, we move on, we do something else, and it starts to grow.
Yes. So a lot of, again, I've had so many positive things happen to me in the last 30 days. It's hard to know which one to focus on. I put out, I created this big, giant $30,000 marketing package. And it's really actually a really good marketing package. It's podcasts, press releases, articles. It's like everything somebody who wants to be a thought leader would dream about. And so I put the package out there, and it was interesting because actually about 4 different clients, some of them who I haven't, maybe I helped them 5 years ago or something. And I just put out, would you be interested in, this? And several people popped up and said, yes, I'd be interested in that. And one actually ended up buying this big package, which will be delivered over 6 months, with the goal of him he wants to become a thought leader in his particular industry and exit his business in the next 7 to 8 years. So that happened. So that was like that confirmation. And then several other people are like, yes. And again, this is the snowball, I guess, effect. Is I haven't met with them yet, but the meetings are set. So it's just a matter of talking to them and finding out, what do you want? What are your goals? And how can this help you, or something else, this or something better? Because when I work with my clients, it is all custom, and I do use a lot of my intuition to kind of visualize where I see them, into the future. And I've always been like that, where when I talk to someone, I kind of get that vision of where I think they could be, in the future. And again, the Paris conference, that particular client, she came in for the free interview, and I hadn't talked to her in 5 years. And we were just talking about her intellectual property conference, and I threw out some ideas, and she was like, whoa, I never thought of that. I never thought about that. I never thought about that. And so that turned into a little marketing package. But then it was like, gee, what else can I do? And so I threw out some more ideas. He goes, oh, well, I think I want to hire you like as our marketing consultant moving forward. So that was another, just, I'd never thought of her as needing those services. And she didn't know she needed the services until I gave her a bunch of ideas on how to move forward. So again, these are all kind of like that synergistic effect. You do have to take some actions. That one of my favorite MindFlavors is the inspired action, because it reminds you that to listen to your intuition and to take inspired action. Like, for example, hey, I have this service. I don't have to charge for it if I don't want to. It's my time. Inspired action. So I put it out and said, hey, I would like to interview you. Raise your hand, and I'll talk to you and help you. But that was an inspired action. So I think there is a difference between trusting and allowing and just sitting there waiting, and trusting and allowing and taking the inspired actions, or the work that you have to do. Like with MindFlavors, you are using the tools, and they're simple to do, but they're also easy not to do. It's easy to go, oh, I'm too busy, even though it might be 4 minutes and 28 seconds or 2 minutes and 22 seconds, or it's a mindset and opening up, just like the breathing, taking the 8 candle breaths or 20 candle breaths or 30 candle breaths, now when I'm listening to Amy and she'll talk about candle breaths, I automatically will, I'm anticipating it and I'm happy to do it. I want to do it. And in the beginning, it was very difficult for me. I was like, I don't want to do this. But now I anticipate that I know it makes me feel better and it helps me to like clear out those things.
Well, I like what you said there, because these things, these tools, sometimes the logical mind will say, well, that doesn't make sense. What could it possibly do for your business if you watch this 4.5 minute video? What could it possibly do for your business if you do a bunch of breathing, a specific type of breathing? And the logical mind is going to try to hold things in place and give that reasoning, that because it's limited, it's limited, it has limited access. It doesn't have all access like the divine mind does.
When you're connected in the soul, mind, body, soul sense, I really do think that you and your divine alignment and your divine believing, MindFlavors programs and tools, it reminds you that divine light, divine power, what it means to be connected. And again, sometimes we just need to be reminded of who we are as the divine connected beings. You can connect yourself, and the tools in MindFlavors really help to, they remind you of the connection, and it helps you to reconnect. And what I noticed about using the tools, like I play with the tools, is a good way to put it, like divine alignment. I really like that. And then you have another one called body integration. And I found that before I found the divine alignment. And all of the things that you do, and even what Amy does with the deep dives or with the invigorate, where you're literally connecting your body, mind, and soul together with these things, it all helps you to, again, make these connections. And pretty soon, like me, you're driving the car singing about how you're the divine light and that you're connected and that good things are happening. It reminds you that the universe wants all the good stuff for you, and that anybody, we all have the ability to operate in this connected way. And like you said, and good things happen like automatically. We attract these things. And like I've attracted more good things in the last 30 days than I probably did in a few years, in terms of people, projects that I've been wanting to do for years. All of a sudden they came to fruition. I've been wanting to work with this one lady, probably for 5 years since I met her. And now I actually just signed a contract today. And we're doing our first project together. And I've been trying to make this work connection with this person for 5 years. And in the last 30 days, not only did I just sign the first contract, but I have at least 2 more to have her help me with some projects that I've been wanting to do, because she's got like 40 years of know-how that I don't have. That collaboration. And that's another thing, the appreciation, gratitude, collaboration, the divine light, the freedom. You can tell that I'm remembering these because they're connecting, they're internalized. I guess with MindFlavors, you end up, your subconscious mind internalizes all of these positive things. And then it says, okay, I got it. Let me do my thing. And then all these positive things just start flowing in. And I think earlier, before we started this conversation, I was talking about how I'm still trying to catch up, me physically and mentally. I'm still trying to catch up with all of the positive energy that's happening around me and through me, because it's happening so fast. All of this good stuff is happening so fast that I'm like, whoa, I got to get organized. Because it's in all areas of my life. Again, it's not just the business, but I mean, I do focus a lot on business because I need to focus on my business, but my family life is improving. Just in general, having more fun. That um, Again, sometimes when you're so get bogged down, you forget. Hey, life is supposed to be about enjoying being here and life, having fun, doing things that make you happy, and that calmness. That I think was the very first word when I first did the experience with MindFlavors. I think, again, being lost for words, speechless, but then the feeling was calm and connect, and it was like it was like that, whoa, I feel connected. 4 minutes and 28 seconds later, I felt like there was a shift to calm. And calm is a good place to be. Where just it's okay when you're calm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tami, super great. Super congratulations. In just 30 days, so much change, so much expansion, so much opening, so many opportunities for you. What has surprised you the most? Or what have you noticed on the inside that has changed for you?
Let's see. Well, I think on the inside, there is a sense of calmness and I feel more connected than I have in years to the divine. So that's a good thing. What surprised me, I think what has surprised me the most is how much positive change has happened for the other members in my family. It's like, because they're just doing what they normally do, and the only thing or person who's changed has been me. And they don't know anything that I've been doing. They don't know anything about what I've been doing. So that's what surprised me, was how much my family members' lives have improved. And the only one doing anything active, to my knowledge, is me.
And so I come back to that, what I was saying earlier, where the conscious mind says, well, what could watching a 4.5 minute video possibly do? It can do all of what you just said.
Change your life.
Exactly.
If you want, say, well, what could watching a 4.5 minute video do for you? It can change your life for the better. And what is cool about it, I guess, is the more positive that things become, the more you want to continue, the more you can understand, well, if I keep moving forward with this and I've seen this much improvement, just think, if I keep expanding on this connections within the MindFlavors, and then not only that, because like in the groups, I'm sure, I mean, every one of those people, when you do the group, I love the one-on-one, but the group has value too, because then you are able to hear how other people are experiencing it, and you can just get it. It's a whole nother level of connection with other souls, I guess, because you are. But I did notice that every one of the people in the group, you do feel their soul energy, or their other energy besides, our exterior energy. Because I I think that's very interesting, how you can feel everyone's energy is, again, it's the synergistic effect of other people and their ideas, and brainstorming, and just hearing how other people are applying their divine connection to this life.
Yes. And we're all on this journey together. We're all using these tools. We're all expanding our consciousness. So in a sense, as a group, we're creating a whole new reality together. Yes. Beautiful. Tami, for someone who might be listening to the show and considering experiencing the MindFlavors technology, what would you say to them?
I'd say do it. You make it really easy. I think I don't remember all the details, but I remember it was like, if you want to have an experience, send us your name and email, and then you invited me to experience 4 minutes and 28 seconds. I like the preciseness of it for some reason, but it's 4 minutes and 28 seconds. Mm-hmm. And you want to experience it because every single person, obviously, if you're at the level of wanting to experience it, you have to experience it for yourself. And then whatever that experience is how you're going to make your decision on if you are wanting or ready to move forward. And sometimes you might not think you're ready, but once you've experienced the 4.5 minutes, you'll get the message. You'll know whether or not you're ready, because you'll get the message. And then once that happens, you'll do almost anything to move forward. That's what happened to me. I was like, I gotta figure out how to do this. And I mean, it didn't take me too long to figure out how to do it, but that's basically, experience it and then go from there.
Tami, yes, so good. And congratulations on trusting yourself, making the decision to move forward, because look what all opened up for you. And
this is just the beginning.
It's just the beginning.
I know, and that's what makes it exciting, is because it's, as I talked, I don't have any issues talking. I was hearing myself go, oh yeah, well there's that, and then that, and, because I have written down a lot of it, but some of the things I shared today were like they bubbled up, into my perception of, oh yeah, that happened, and oh yeah, just today that, my son sent this message that was different than the typical message that he might write. So it is interesting. Again, you're getting all these little nudges saying, hey, it's kind of like when you're walking along and you find a dollar bill instead of a penny, or a quarter, or different things, or you see a white feather. And my mom used to always tell me about, if you have bubbles in your coffee, big money's coming. And so I've always been a bubbles in my coffee kind of thing, and because you don't always get bubbles in your coffee. So every time I do, and my kids, it's funny because obviously I said that, and then hey mom, look, you've got bubbles in your coffee. And the truth is, most of the time when I've seen bubbles in my coffee, that some money showed up. So it's always been like yes, it's like a truth because it happens most of the time. I've noticed that, hey, I've got bubbles in my coffee. Hey, big money's coming. Sure enough, money shows up. So
Your mom gave you that gift of positive.
yeah, and I have thought a lot about my mom and my dad this in the last 30 days too. Because a lot of, our parents put a lot of information into our heads, both positive and negative. But again, learning that, like, you both have reminded me about certain words not to use, and that's something. Think about it. We have to. No one has ever said, "Oh, don't use those particular words because they have double meanings." And then when you start to pay attention, that's another thing. It's about paying attention and, again, looking for the positive in different things, because sometimes something might present itself and you're saying, oh no, but then it turns out, oh, that needed to happen for this to something bigger and better shows up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's where that trust comes in. Plant the seed, and then you trust. And then when you have principles and you're doing the work on the inside, you can trust that things are always working in divine order, divine alignment.
Yeah. Tami, it's so good to have you on our show. We've really enjoyed this conversation, and we really love that you are part of our MindFlavors family and that we're on this journey moving forward together. And for our listeners, where can they learn more about your work and what you do?
They can go to TamiPatzer.com. That's TamiPatzer.com. Or they can find me on Facebook or LinkedIn under my formal name, Tamara, Tamara Patzer.
Well, Tami, we're so grateful that you came on the show today, and we're excited for what the future holds for you.
Well, thank you. And I'll report back. I mean, every day good things are happening.
Yes.
Love that. Well, we'd love to have you back on the show and revisit this again.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Lots of love, everyone.